Hi, welcome back to Art and Soul. Thank you for allowing me to come into your home today. My name is Mike Severin, and if you haven't been watching the show, I encourage you to watch me and paint along with me. Last week we finished up a wooden bucket that had spilled apples, and that was kind of a fun little painting to do. And today we're going to start in on something that I've had several people wanting me to do, is do some animals. So we're going to do a white-faced cow, similar to the one that we have back here on the easel. I did this one here a few days ago, and I thought it would be a real good example. Pretty simple, easy painting. Just basically, I just want to walk you through the process of how we do that. And we're working on 16 by 20 stretch canvas. As you can see here, I've just done a real light outline with the pencil of the face and where the layout of the cow is going to be on the canvas. Not a lot of detail on it. At this point, I don't want to worry about that. I just want to get it blocked in. And so today's show, we're going to be doing that. We're going to get the background blocked in, and hopefully most of the cow itself. So I want to go through the palette really quickly. What I've got here is I've got a cad orange medium, alizarin crimson, some titanium white, our burnt sienna, and our cad yellow, phthalo blue, and a sap green. And some of those we may not get to using today, but at least we have them there on our palette. So what we're going to do is, the background is going to be dark, like I have on the painting here on the easel. It's not completely black. It's a combination of colors, and I've talked about this on the show before, of how I like to make my own black. And how I do that is I take, and I'm going to use here just a 1-inch brush. You can use any size brush that you would like, but I'm just going to grab some of alizarin crimson, some of the phthalo blue, and some of that burnt sienna. And those three mixed together, and I'm just going to use my brush to mix them, gives you a really rich black. And you can go any direction you want to with the little bit of hue that's in it. I'm going to go a little more towards the blue, and I'll show you why here in a little bit. So I've got a big old wad on my brush just from mixing it, and I'm just going to just take and just start spreading this out on the canvas. And I'm just doing, just roughly blocking in, and I'm coming up kind of to the lines that I have here for the cow, but I'm not really worried a whole lot about that. And so we're just blocking this in really quickly here. And I like this mixing the black myself. Like I said, the color is a little richer than what you would get if you went and bought a midnight black or a Mars black, whatever shade of black that you might get from the paint store. But you'll see here in a minute why I like doing this. And I can see, just like that last, when I reloaded the brush there, this corner up here probably got a little more of that alizarin crimson in them, and you can't see it really at this point, but you'll see it here in a minute when I start adding the next layer. So I'm just blocking this in, like I said. This could be done with a paint roller for that matter. It's nothing real specific here. You need to mix up a little more, so grab those three. Again, the phthalo blue, the alizarin crimson, and the burnt sienna. Another big blob on my brush there. And again, we're just continuing to block this in, and be free with this. Don't allow I see a lot of times when, in fact, I did a lesson this last week, and the lady, she was in there right up on the brush, and she was just doing these little bitty, I said, you know, get back on the end of the brush here and let it be free. Painting is a process that, you know, it's a stress reliever. It's a time for you to kind of free up and not worry about being so precise. And I always say it, every painting starts out basically as an abstract, and it kind of depends on how much detail you want to get, whether it goes from an abstract into more impressionistic. Again, it's just kind of a personal taste, and I say that all the time, but it's really true. And I am doing this tonight as a white face cow, but you know, if maybe there's a breed that you like better than another and you want to do that, you can sure do that. So we've kind of just blocked that all in, made sure that all of the white from the canvas is covered. And now what I'm going to do, I haven't cleaned my brush, I'm just going to put just a touch of the titanium white on the end of the brush. And what this does, and I don't know even how well it will show up on the screen for you, but what it does is it's picking up some of those colors that are in the background, the phthalo blue and the alizarin crimson, and it's just making just a variation in the background so that it's not just stark black. If you wanted it that way, you sure could do it that way. No problem with that. And I'm just, you know, just adding in a few of these spots here and there. I don't want to make this too light. I just want to bring in some variation of color so that it makes the background a little more interesting. So there we go with that. And if you've got, I don't have it now, but I certainly could do it. If I wanted to, I could come in with a big 2 or 3 inch brush and feather that out and smooth it out a little better. But this isn't going to be a real detailed cow, so I'm not really worried. I want it to be pretty free. And again, I still haven't cleaned my brush. I just went in, grabbed a block of the burnt sienna, and the white face, basically, for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, are brown-bodied and usually have a white patch on their chest, and then their face and head is white. And so I want to make sure that I get this more towards the brown side here. And remember, this tonight is just underpainting. We're not trying to get a whole lot of detail in this. You have to have this underpainting done so that we've got the base then that we can start building our painting on. So I've just kind of just blocking that in, and of course, you know, we've got that black that's still in our brush, and it's mixing on the canvas with that burnt sienna, which is what we want. It varies the color, and that's the kind of the fun process. A lot of people, you know, they get frustrated with that, and they want to take and mix each color on the palette and clean the brush before they change. I don't do that often because I want there to be variation in the tones that are in the painting. And by mixing right here on the canvas, it makes it has a lot more continuity that the painting has, because so many of the colors are intermixed between the different areas of the picture. So we've pretty much blocked him in. And again, these are real loose strokes that are on here. You can see it's you know, very movement, a lot of movement in it, which actually shows a lot of the movement that you would see in the hair that would be on our white face. And what we're going to do is we're going to take and block in the face and this white patch that's down here on the chest. And how we're going to do that is we're going to use that burnt sienna, and we'll bring in our titanium white. And so it's going to be more of a light tan that we're going to be using, which it'll make sense as we start putting in over the next couple of weeks the highlights. You need to have the darker colors there as a base in order to develop it and bring that the lights in. Remember, you can't have light without having dark behind it. So again, I'm just blocking in here that outline that I put there for her face. I remember growing up, my grandpa had a breed of cows. They were black, like a black Angus, but around their belly had a white white band, and they were the coolest cows. He raised those. I loved being around the farm animals. I've been around them a lot over the years growing up and being out on a farm. I remember this time of year especially, going out and having to cut the heads off the chickens and hold the gunny sack for Dad as he was going through getting the chickens ready for dinner, or for the weekend, I should say. Our old farmer that lived next to us, he raised hogs, so I got to be around a lot of animals over the years. Loved it. Miss it, actually. In fact, I had a friend that they've got horses, and I said, well, this winter, if you get tired of mucking stalls, let me know and I'll come over and I'll muck stalls. Sounds really crazy when you have to do it all the time, but I actually enjoyed that part of it. Kind of stinky job, but it's a good job. So as you can see, as I've just been painting away here, I'm just blocking this in very, very loosely. And again, I'm still varying the colors that are there. And you'll see here in a minute, I'm going to take across his nose. And their noses are a little different color than what the rest of them are. So I'll show you how we mix that up for an underpainting. And we'll bring that down across that chest. And again, I'm just being real free with the brush. We're just trying to cover up the canvas so that we don't have any of the canvas showing. A little down here underneath of his chin, or his lips there. And when I went across the bottom there, you noticed I picked up some of that background color, so it graded out. And again, I'm just bringing part of that up here into the face, just so that it again carries some of that color throughout the painting, which is good. So there we've got a pretty well blocked in cow. I think most people could tell it's a cow at this point, hopefully. And so we want to kind of figure out where we're going to put our light source. Where's the light hitting on our white face? In this picture here that I did the other day, it's kind of hitting right across the top, so that most of the lights are up here on the top, and even across his back is lighter. So I think we're going to kind of continue that same thing. So if you notice, I took and darkened this right in underneath of the ear, as well as the dark spots that would be in the core of the ear. And so we're just going to continue that on. And so I'm going to need a little more burnt sienna, so I'll grab a little bit there. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to grab some of the alizarin crimson with that burnt sienna. And I'm not going to bring in the blues at this point. I just want to bring in more towards the brown side, but a little bit with that alizarin crimson. It's kind of a real deep, rich color. And so we'll just kind of do the inner part of the ear here and just kind of feathering it out a little bit. And the same thing over here on this side. And this ear here is going to be set back, so the face of the cow is going to be in front of where that ear actually attaches on. And we're just feathering that out. I need to make that ear a little, not real happy with the shape of it there, so I'm going to round that out a bit. And you're going, oh man, you got some of that dark up there, down there. It doesn't matter. We're just underpainting tonight. And this would be, the ear comes in kind of like this in on the side of the skull. So this in here would be a little more shadowed down here. And then down here, just right along this jawline would be a little more shadowed as well. So these are basically just reference points that we're putting in and starting to do the building up of the painting itself. Maybe a little through here, maybe right here underneath the eye is going to be a little darker. This side over here is going to be blocked off or shadowed a little bit more. So we'll just bring in some of that color in there. And then down here, I'm going to take, one of the reasons too that I wanted to go with the alizarin crimson with that burnt sienna is because we're going to build this, the actual nozzle of the cow. So what I did was I'm going straight into what I have already mixed up there as our little shadow color, but I brought in some white into it, and that's too orange, so we want to bring in a little more alizarin crimson. I want this more towards the pinkish hue. That's pretty good. It's pretty dark, but this is okay for an underpainting. And so we're just going to block in this, just the shape here. And if there's maybe, I'm doing this kind of out of memory, but a lot of it's just because I grew up around animals and I know, but maybe you need to find a reference, Google it or something and find a cow that you like the looks of. And I'm just taking and just what I did was, it was pretty pink there, and I wanted to tone it down a little bit. It was just a little too strong. So I just brought in some titanium white, and this is going to, there's a little bit that comes down here, maybe across where the lip would be. But again, we're not worrying too much about too much detail at this point. We just are trying to get this blocked in so that next week we can start in developing it. And I'm just basically feathering that a little bit out into the face and across the nose here. It's not a real harsh transition, so we want to just make that where it looks a little more realistic. That's a pretty good start with that. I want to take, I'm just going to wipe my brush off. I'm not going to clean it. I'm just going to wipe off the excess paint. And I want to block in now those eyes, just a dark. We're not, again, not doing a whole lot with detail. We just want to get them blocked in right. And I'm going right back into that dark background color that we had. And I put this this one here a little high, I think, especially given here's where the eye is going to be on this side. Be about like that, and you're not going to see much of that eye, but then we need to do the same thing, and we're just bringing it basically the same so that it's even across there. And you're going to see more of this eye because obviously his face is turned a little bit. So obviously that's not all of his eye, but that's the eye cavity that's there. And again, I'm just feathering out kind of that area around it. And then this down here on the bottom is going to be a little darker, so we can bring that in, even bring up some of that as our shadow colors. Maybe even touch a spot up here in the ear and underneath of the ear that would be shadowed. You know, it's just a building process, and you know, it's one of those things that none of this can't be, we can always come back in and change it. We're not tied to it, even at this point. If there was something we didn't like, all you do is just take your paper towel and just wipe off a section. Well, I'll just do it. Let's say that I don't like where this eye is. So I can just basically, with my paper towel, just take and erase it off. And then I come back in and go, okay, well, maybe it needs to be a little farther over here, you know, and you just come back in and you do the exact same thing. So, you know, like I said, you're not locked into it. Don't feel like you're ever locked into it. There's always ways. Even after you get done and painting for the day and you look back at it and you go, oh man, that's not right. No big deal. Wait till the paint's dry. If it's tacky or something, wait till it's dry and then come back in and paint over the top of it. You're the artist. You can do it any way you want to do it. Now, what I want to do is we've really got really pretty good base going there with them. So I think we're going to take and just bring in, not take a whole lot of time with it, but just grab some straight titanium white on our brush. And I want to just take and maybe just start bringing in some of the hair just to get kind of some movement going. And again, as we're doing this, the paint is blending on the canvas because we've been, you know, it's wet paint. So, and we want that. We want that to happen. And I'm just bringing up because her hair's kind of goes a lot of different directions. And right usually in the middle of the forehead is, everyone's heard the term cowlick, and it comes from cows because most of them have some sort of a cowlick that's in the middle of their head or forehead. And so we're just going to kind of put in a little cowlick. Again, I'm just being real loose and free, just going straight into my titanium white and just basically just building up layer by layer of paint on our canvas. And I'm going every direction with the brush because that's what their hair does. And the techniques that we're using on this cow, you can use and apply on almost any sort of wildlife that you would decide to paint. You just need to have that base coat and, you know, depending on the fur type, how you develop the fur. So that's kind of developing out really nicely. We'll just bring in a little bit out here on the ears just to blend that in a little better. This is, you know, it's just fun watching a painting come together, and you know, I every day, you know, sit in my studio and paint, and I always have music playing, and usually have a candle lit, and I just get in there and I just completely lose track of time sometimes. And I'll paint for hours and realize that, it seemed like it'd been about 15 or 20 minutes of painting, but hours had gone by. Which is kind of nice. It kind of gives you a nice respite from the world. Yeah, it looks pretty good for a start on our underpainting for our little cow here. And I sure hope that you're painting along with me, and if you're not, I'd really encourage you to do it. It's a lot of fun, and I think you'll enjoy it, the process that we go through. I think that's what we're going to end with for today's show. It looks like we're running out of time as always. Seems like time goes so fast when we're recording these. Today happens to be, as you're watching it, it's going to be after the fact, but today's Thanksgiving Eve. And so I wanted to take a couple of minutes that I always end the show with a few words to be thankful for what you have in your life. I just heard this the other day, and they said, man, I don't like it. All the leaves have fallen and the trees are all dying, and I don't like this time of year. And I got to thinking about it, and those leaves falling are landing on the ground. They're deteriorating, going back into the soil, providing nutrients for the next generation of leaves. And that tree had to shed those old leaves in order to make room for the new ones that are coming. It's still alive, it's not dead, it's just in transition. In our own lives, we need to remember that. We've shed the past, but we need to look forward to the future, because what the past has done is it's laid the groundwork for the growth that's about to happen in your life. I'm really thankful for that. I am so grateful for so many things in my life. Every morning I start my day being thankful. I get up and whether it's raining, whether it's sunny, I thank God for the weather. I thank Him for having the breath. I thank Him for a cover over my head at night, for warmth, for the food that I have. There's so many things that we take for granted. I remember in Bible college driving down the road one day, my roommate and I were so poor. We didn't even have a roll of toilet paper left. And we were driving down Market Street, and I see a roll of toilet paper in the curb, and I said, "Pull over, Tim, pull over." I was grateful for even that roll of toilet paper. Things that we take for granted every single day. There's a lot of people around the world that are struggling, that don't have anything to be thankful for. You're breathing, you're healthy, and even if you're having health issues, you're still alive, and you've got people around you. Love those things, encourage those around you, be creative, and be thankful not just on Thanksgiving or during the holiday season, but be thankful every single day. As always, I thank you for joining me. I thank you for allowing me to come into your home, and I would encourage you to be creative this week, and I'll see you next week here on Art and Soul. CJ, as always, I love you.